A Sign of Affection is a pure love story between a world traveler and a deaf girl. Although having many common romance tropes and a very simple plot, the way it explores the relationship is extremely well done. We are getting into all of the good and bad without spoiling anything to see if A Sign of Affection is worth watching for you. The animation is very good, and I initially thought it had a very unique art style until I realized this is a shojo, which is apparent from the very first episode. It has a different vibe than similar shonen anime like Toradora or Tomo-chan, as it's geared more toward a young female demographic. It's also a very simple romance, with not a lot of drama or complications. It's very sweet, and basically all of the characters are good people and deal with things rationally. Saying this makes A Sign of Affection sound very boring, and from that description, this is absolutely not my kind of show. However, it is so well done, I found myself really enjoying it. It took a few episodes, but I realized I was actually engaged and cared about the characters. Initially, it feels melodramatic, but that fades as the characters grow, and it gets more into dealing with the actual relationship instead of the awkward part of getting into a relationship. All of this happens at a steady but slow pace. There's a little bit of conflict around the friends of the main love interests, but there haven't been any major points of contention that cause massive problems for the couple. Good people having a good relationship isn't a particularly interesting story. However, what makes this unique is that the main character is deaf, and we get to see a lot of the story from her point of view. Yuki is a naive and shy girl with a disability that compounds her insecurities. We get to see how she struggles with everyday tasks, and how she often misses out on conversations, especially in groups where she can't always read everyone's lips. And just like in real life, almost no one knows sign language, even friends and family around her. There's also many small things that we take for granted, like hearing footsteps or understanding the tone of someone's voice, that is explored through the deaf protagonist. Despite these struggles, Yuki is a very kind and sweet person. Her disability isn't shown as a good or bad thing, but just as part of her life. We're shown a lot from her perspective, so it's easy to connect to her and even begin to somewhat understand what it's like to live as someone who is hearing impaired. This is, by far, the best part of this anime. The next best aspect, which is the most important, is of course the characters. The main couple are very good. We get to watch Yuki grow more mature, and her love interest, Itsumi, understand her better. A lot of this happens in small, subtle ways, which builds up the relationship in a way that feels very authentic. Itsumi is also very mysterious, as he often goes on trips all across the world and isn't very open about his life. Seeing this from Yuki's point of view, we get to learn more about this mysterious man as she does. But the side characters really shine. Friends of both main characters have complicated feelings that have to be dealt with. These issues are given time to breathe without being pointlessly dragged on from illogical decisions, which is the norm for most romance stories. This makes the resolutions to these problems legitimately interesting instead of just frustrating. As I've just talked about, there's a lot to love about this anime, but I also have some problems with it. My biggest complaint is that it follows several common tropes that I really dislike in romance anime. First is that every character has some romantic motive for everything they do. I like a lot of the side romance plots, but when it feels like everyone's life revolves around who they want to date, it takes me out of it. It's kind of like when an action movie puts a fight in a spot that didn't need one. It's like it's there because of the genre, not because it actually fits the story. Initially, I found the main character annoying because she kept pausing the progression of the story to go on some long, melodramatic monologue, but it gets better after the first few episodes. The over-the-top, I'm embarrassed because you looked at me moments that a lot of anime tend to have also gets grating at times. However, to its credit, A Sign of Affection actually uses this in its story as part of Yuki's development. Overall, A Sign of Affection is a good one. It's not especially gripping initially, and a lot of the actual story is very generic, but it's written well, especially around the concept of a deaf protagonist. It's very cute, charming, and the characters get better as it goes. If this is your thing, you'll love it. And even if this isn't, there's a lot to appreciate. Thanks so much for watching. Check out our review of Dr. Elise here on the end screen, and subscribe for more videos like this one. Jamio!